What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll Live. We are back this week with a really important topic, pressure sores and wound care. So let's just get some quick intros in. You guys know me. I am Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quad from a snowboarding accident 18 years ago now. So Brianna, why don't you go ahead?
And I am Brianna. I'm over here on the Tuesday show today because
Yeah.
next week is going to be the Abilities Expo. So make sure to go check us out over there if you're in the Los Angeles area. And as for introductions, my name's Brianna. I've been injured going on almost 6 years now. It's going to be 6 years next month, actually, from a gunshot wound. And I am T12 through L5. And yeah, so let's pass it over to Angela.
Hi, you guys. I'm Angela
Oh
Rockwood,
crap! Sorry.
and oh,
Nope.
good
I'll fix
Lord.
it. I'm sorry. I'm fixing it right now. I should have checked
Okay.
that. There
Hello.
we. Hold on. There we go.
So
There you
doing
go.
camera angles for you.
Sorry about that. Apologies,
It's all
guys. I had
good. It's
to
all good.
last
Don't
minute.
So
take it
I've
personal.
been injured for 20 years, and I was injured in a car accident planning my wedding, and I broke my C4, C5. So they rendered me a quadriplegic complete, and here I am, just scooting away and still sitting here and doing everything from modeling, acting, producing, you name it. I'm doing it and still pushing through and living life to its fullest. So thank you for having me, you guys.
Of
No, thank
course, I'm so
you.
excited. I've been wanting to get you on for a while, and this is the perfect topic to get you your information on,
Oh,
because you've just been going through it. So I can't wait to get into that.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome topic because it is so important. And we were actually supposed to have another guest on that's been dealing with the sore for over a year now. And he actually had to cancel just last minute because he had to go to the hospital because of something with the wound that's happening. So
oh,
it's super important. And, it can be really hard on us and really scary too. So we're gonna get into some of these things. Brianna has a little bit of a sore right now too. She's dealing with. So I personally have only had a few minor issues with sores and not anything too bad. So I don't have any really bad stories or anything. But I will share all the things I do for prevention. But for now, let's go into like how Angela. Do you want to talk about how you got your first sore or this sore?
oh my
Um,
God. Yeah. So like I said, you guys, so I've been paralyzed for 20 years. I've never, ever, ever received a sore. My skin sugar is excellent. Like I've taken care of my skin over the years. Unfortunately, what happened 2 years ago, they say watch out what you ask for because you'll get it, not in the way that you want it. But right before the pandemic, I was like, God, I want to take my spirituality to a whole other level. And little did I know I was going to be bedridden for 9 months. So I actually got sick in March. It was not the COVID virus. I ended up going to the hospital for about 6 days at Cedars. And when they released me, of course, when you go into the hospital, you pretty much come out malnourished, and I was a little thinner than usual. But I came home, and instead of sleeping in my bed, which is a Tempur-Pedic mattress, that's what I've been sleeping on for the last 20 years. I don't have to roll over anything. What I used to do in the beginning, I can actually lay on my back the whole entire night. But that specific time, I had hired my caretaker to come take care of me. And I had taken a lounge chair from my living room and I put it into my office. So I was sleeping on that with my caregiver sleeping on the couch next to me. And so little did I know, unbeknownst to me, my you know, bony area, prominent area in the back. Sorry, I'm like swiping here. People are like texting. But so basically it broke down. And we all get a little redness, and my caregivers will say, oh, you're a little red, and then it just like a couple days it'll fade. But this one started opening up, and it was pretty scary, like you guys say, because I've had some friends who have passed away from a pressure wound, and I've heard stories of individuals getting pressure wounds that become sepsis where it gets infected, and mine ended up getting infected, which was really scary. So, what do I say? Like, I basically, when it started opening up, I literally had to lay on my side, on my left side, for almost 9 months. And it was pretty crazy in the sense of I couldn't lay on my back. And I did have a wound specialist that would come in daily to look at it and everything. At that time, I had 2 caregivers that would come in and clean it and everything. But within I think it was in the third and a half, fourth month, it got infected. And the wound specialist had noticed that it was not healing rapidly. And so, to his intuition, he said, let's run some blood tests. So my suggestion out there for those who end up getting a wound, do a blood test and make sure that you're not anemic and you are taking your vitamins and everything. Because it turned out that I was anemic at the time. I was born anemic, so I had taken care of that over the years. But obviously, because I was bedridden for so long, I wasn't getting the nutrients that I needed. So after that, not to go into a long tangent, but that was the first time, I tell you, I was praying to God. I was so scared because I know if it becomes infected and it gets down to the bone and goes into the bloodstream, it's not good. So I laid in my bed, in my other bed in the Tempur-Pedic by that point, and I was just praying to God, like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out what to do. I was actually afraid because I was like, please don't let me go out because of a freaking wound. Just don't let me leave like this. I called my doctor up. I spoke to him. And I immediately started taking iron supplements to get the anemia up. And I started taking zinc to start healing the wound. And I have to share with you guys, they were giving me this specific honey. It's kind of like a manuka honey. It's like laced. And when they were cleaning the wound, they would put it on the wound to kind of basically help it heal faster. So I was doing that. And then within about 8.5 months, it started slowly closing back up again because it did get down to the bone. So, but there is, so now there's an actual cream that, I don't know if you guys can see this here. I'm actually showing this here that I do now for preventative. So it's hard to, let me try to put it, did I put it here? Can you guys see it?
A little bit. What is it called?
Okay, well, I'm gonna spell it out because I can't say this thing, but you can get it on Amazon. Like this thing is a lifesaver. It's spelled LMNOOP. So you guys try to spell that one out. But this thing is incredible because even though I was taking all the nutrients and I started eating the right foods and everything to heal everything, once it closed up, the following year, you know, they stated that it's never going to be the same. Once you get a wound, that skin is so tender, it can easily break open again. So now I find myself, if I'm sitting up too long in the bed working, or if I'm slouched down in my chair, I could start feeling my tailbone getting irritated. And then sure enough, when my caregivers put me in the bed and they look at my tailbone, they'll start seeing the redness. And if it starts to break just slightly, which it did the next year, I ended up taking the honey out and putting it on. So this is like an awesome story that you guys have to know that this stuff really works. So basically, I was using the honey that the nursing agency had sent, and I noticed like it was not healing fast. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to do this again. So that's when I went online to Amazon. And I just started researching. Of course, I was researching everywhere, but I ended up on Amazon finding this amazing cream. And basically, I had my nurse take a before photo of the wound, and then she applied it. And you could see within 2 days, it was starting to heal quickly and starting to close up. And then I also had passed it on to another friend, Scott, on the East Coast, a couple other friends, and then they too started using it and noticed a significant difference. And just anytime there's redness or anything, like I just put it on and I just make sure I watch my tailbone, my booty.
So it got so bad just because you didn't notice the redness so fast, or how did it get down so bad?
Well, basically the lounge chair that I was sitting on, I didn't realize, but the way it's like shaped by the tailbone area, because when I was in the hospital, I lost a little bit too much weight. So when I got home, you know, I'm a little bonier back there. So when I was pressing up against the lounge, unbeknownst to me, it started to get red. Then it started to, you know, when it starts getting dark. And they say when you see the circle on the outer part, underneath the layers, it could be like 2 to 3 inches bigger. without you even knowing
Right.
it. And then, of course,
Yeah.
once that skin breaks, then you start seeing the tenderness of the layers, the different layers. And then once they brought in a wound specialist, the wound specialist had to start cleaning up all the dead skin and just layers. And by that point, he basically made a hole. That was so
Wow.
gross. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how. Did I answer your question, babe?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
It was
Yeah,
scary. It
I
was
always get
scary,
so worried.
Brianna. It was
Hmm.
scary because I had my caregiver taking photos because I didn't believe it. I never had a pressure wound. And then when the wound specialist, I mean, it hurt. I could feel it. The wound specialist was just like clawing away with this special like scalpel
Oh God.
instrument. I don't know exactly what it was, but I'd be sitting there. I was like, just go ahead. And I'd be like cringing. I was like, just do it. And he would just start taking the dead skin away and everything, just because you have to heal. Is you got to remove the dead skin and the dead layers for the new layers to start rejuvenating and basically recovering and doing its thing, you know?
Yeah, it's a long process. So, like, on a side note, I know how positive mindset you are, and how you've always been that way from the beginning of your accident. How you talk about, like, even in the hospital, how you felt like you had, a purpose and a vision of your life. And so I wondered, like, 20 years later, you being all of a sudden stuck in your bed again, kind of like more disabled, like, did that affect your mentality at all? Like, how did you deal with those 8, 9 months?
You know, Brianna, that was the thing that I was saying to you guys is not to get all uh, spiritual or religious or whatever, because I'm not trying to everybody believes in what they want to believe in. But like I stated, 2 years ago, I was turning at the time I was turning 45, and it was like a good year for me. And I was like, I'm gonna take my spirituality at a whole other level. I'm gonna do this, this, and this. So I had all these plans and everything. And little did I know that I was gonna end up getting this pressure wound. So during this time, the Black Lives Matter was going on. The pandemic started. We had the riots going on in Los Angeles. So there I was in my office, laying on this lounge. I had no one in my house because my caregiver would only come at night. But to answer your question, I didn't watch YouTube. I didn't watch Netflix. I didn't watch Hulu. I literally just laid there on that lounge on my side. I meditated every day. Thank God for TikTok, because I did do TikTok. So that saved me. So every day I either did one TikTok or every other day. But then other
Nice.
than that, I was just reflecting on life. I could hear the helicopters going over when the riots was going on. Of course, I was on social media a little bit here and there just to just keep updated of what was going on with like the Black Lives Matter to the pandemic to everything, and just reaching out to friends. But I was just keeping my vision as of what I wanted to accomplish for the couple of years. And also each day I picked a friend that I thought of and meditated on and was grateful for. So that's how I spent the 8.5 months healing that wound.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I always find it so interesting how headstrong you are, and like I find it so inspirational on my part, because it's not easy to control your mindset, but once you do, it's like so powerful, and like it really can make or break you with this disability, with having a disability in general. I feel like, and there's a lot that you can focus on, and I think this is a great example of that. Like you could have really broken down, especially thinking about people literally passing away from this,
Oh yeah.
and being scared. You could have terrified yourself those 8 or 9 months and really like broke your mentality down more. But instead, you decided to strengthen it, and come out stronger. Like I think that's really cool.
Yeah. That's
Well, sorry to say, but I did stay positive. I remained positive, but like I had said to you guys and shared with you, that there was that one day I was in my room on my Tempur-Pedic mattress finally, and that's when I had been informed that it was infected. And of course, I was on antibiotics, and I was just laying there, and that was a 1 millisecond of a second where I had fear. And I thought, oh, please, God, please do not let me go out with a pressure wound. Like, just don't let me die from this. And I remember laying there just thinking, because that's the thing. It's like being a quadriplegic, you have to rely on others to take care of you. I
yeah.
can't wash the back of where that wound is. I can't see it. and I'm relying on these two other individuals to clean it. And here it is, it got infected. And so I felt so helpless and it was frustrating. But once I allowed that emotions to go through me, and then that fear to kind of like, that was the first time I was like fearful. I was like, wow. And then I let it go. And then I immediately was like, all right, Ange, we got to take care of this. I called my doctor and I started making a plan, and I just started visualizing this thing is going to heal and that's it. I'm done. So that's it. You just got to think
you're
about what
human.
you're
You
going to
let
do.
you let those emotions come to you, I think, and then you think about a solution, and you have to keep it pushing, but you're human at the end of the day, so it doesn't mean anything, negative that you have those thoughts, I think get them
No,
out.
but you do have to stay positive, because I've heard horror stories. I've heard of friends who were like
Oh,
bedridden for a year and a half, or in the hospital for this long, or hooked up to a machine that was cleaning the wound and things like that. And it can be very frustrating because it tests your patience and your resilience. And so the only thing that you can do is just try to remain patient and positive, because I mean, what are you going to do if you're going to be sitting there just pissed off and everything? It's not going to serve any purpose.
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel you.
that's hard.
Sorry, Shawn. Yeah. So, Shawn, you haven't had too many bad ones, but you've had a couple like that have got you bedridden, or how was that for
So
you?
the worst one that I kind of did have, the most, I guess, actual pressure sore that I've had, because I've had mainly scrapes and different things that like I scraped and were in bad areas that were a little bit harder to heal for me. But they weren't like deep wounds, like where your pressure, like that got down to the bone, like that was all the way through your skin. The only time I've had an issue where it kind of got a little bit deeper like that, a few years ago, I had redone my shower bench. I actually custom make like these like larger like benches I put over my like commode chairs, just because it's like a more comfy, like I'm sitting there for a while, so I like to like, I don't want to be on a really small little thing. But anyways, I had it reupholstered, and he kind of messed up the upholstery, and I didn't notice there was a little point in the back that was pushing up kind of right in my tailbone, like right in my butt, right back there.
Oh,
And I hadn't noticed it for a few days. And then eventually, that was when I was living with my girlfriend, and she was my caregiver. She noticed it like 4 or 5 days in, like, "Hey, your butt's that's like looking kind of red." And we noticed it did start to like kind of open a little bit, and it was like it looked like not great. So I was like, "Okay, cool. We'll take it easy, take it off, take it easy for a few days, stay off of it." I had took the bench back to the upholstery shop, and I had him make some adjustments and like add some padding in the area, and it did fix the problem. But I think like probably it was like 3 or 4 days after that, I was scheduled. It was land meet C for in Long Beach for Casa Calina and the water stuff, and it was actually going to be my first year water skiing, and I really wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, no, let's just go. I went, which was stupid because I was in salt water. It was wet. I was sitting in wet shorts pretty much the whole day, like on a wet butt. It just made my skin softer, and that opened it up. So after that, it was like an open wound. And I spent the next few weeks, it took me about a month, I think, 4 weeks. And I actually had to completely change how I was sleeping. I started sleeping on my stomach for as long as I could handle it at night, and then getting help to like each side, and just really staying off my back altogether. And I was able to get it healed in about, like mostly healed in like 4 weeks, to where it was closed and just like a little red. And then, like I still am cautious of it though, like because just like Angela had mentioned, like once that skin breaks, it's never the same. So now I am fearful. I'm like, I know that one spot right, and it's right on my bony tailbone. I am very bony also. So I am very thoughtful of that. I'm mindful all the time. Like, if I'm somewhere for too long, if I'm on any surface that I think is not soft enough, like I'm gonna make sure I have a cushion or something. Because yeah, that does scare me. But that's been my most serious one, and like it scared the crap out of me, and I didn't even have to go to the hospital or get an infection. Like but it still scared me and put the fear in me.
Yeah. My first one, I wasn't really taught about it at all in the hospital. They didn't like make me change like at Casa Colina, they make them like switch sides every 2 hours. For me, they let me stay on my side the whole night. Like the whole time I was there, they didn't even make me switch sides or nothing. I wasn't at a hospital that had a lot of SEI people, so it wasn't like really in my head like that. So for me, I had really bad nerve damage, and I have it worse on one side than the other. So my right side is worse, and it was just my left side is worse. So I was sitting for so long with my legs like elevated, with one leg elevated on the other side, and I was like leaning on the side that wasn't hurting as bad because I was trying to take pressure off the side that had the nerve damage, because it just like hurts when you have pressure on it. And I was like that for so long, for like months. And what I didn't realize is in the beginning, after my injury, I was staying in a hotel and the bed was a lot softer. And then afterwards, I moved to my boyfriend's mom's house and they didn't have the same bed type. And I kept on doing the same thing. And my skin just kept getting worn down, worn down. And I didn't have a caregiver, you know, I just wasn't really aware of checking myself like that. It's so important to check yourself if you're able to. If not, make sure that you have them either. I mean, Tom talks about showing them and taking pictures or whatever you need to do to make sure that you're not having any red areas like that. It's really important to do that, because the hint of red, you know, you need to make sure that you try to get off of it and you stay cautious of it, because it can get bad really, really quickly. And I didn't know, so I remember it being pretty infected. And the way I got over it is my mom, she wound up seeing it and she was like, oh my goodness, of course, freaked out, you know. So she started putting aloe vera on it from the leaves. So you can basically get that at Walmart. I still stand by that. That works really well for any cuts that I have or anything like that. I basically just get the plant at Walmart, and then you can like scrape out the inside, like the gel part, and put it in the refrigerator. Use little bits like that on it. And also I see Mickey talking about the Manuka honey as well. She told me about the CVS patches, the Manuka honey CVS adhesive pads, and those work really well too when you have an injury. So yeah. And then recently my other horror story that just happened like last week was I had to go all the way down to downtown LA, and then coming back up, I just hit so much traffic. I live all the way in this area, so I have to go up one freeway, and we got caught inside of a rainstorm, which made the freeway go even slower. And then we got caught in a snowstorm, which made it even go even slower. And I was just sitting for hours. Not only that, but I had my dog in the car, and my dog was jumping back and forth all crazy when I got back in. And I had my catheter, and he hit my catheter, and so my catheter leaked out. And I wasn't doing as many pressure sores, but the pressure reliefs in the car, of course, because I felt like, you know, it smelled, you know, so I feel like I was cautious of that. And another thing that happened that was just, you know, the cherry on top was when I did do one of my pressure reliefs, I didn't realize that I had a lighter in my lap. This is something that I've actually done a couple of times. I don't realize I have something in my lap. And then when I lift up, it goes underneath me and I'm sitting on it, and it's a hard surface. That has happened multiple times and has been honestly the majority of the time that I've gotten my sores since then. So yeah, it was just like chaos after chaos, you know, but that's kind of our lives. I feel like things happen, and I didn't have the right pillow. I think it's always important to bring padding wherever you go, you know, even if it's a split second. If you can get padding underneath your butt, underneath any bony areas, your elbows, anything like that, do it, because overall that skin in that area I feel like wears down definitely, you know. And then that's when you end up with sores easier
On
over
even
time.
longer car rides, I tend to use my cushion if I'm the passenger. But Tom, welcome to the show again. Looking dapper there.
Spiffy, yeah.
Thank you guys. What's up, everybody? So I'm a little bit late. Hi, Angela. Hi, Brianna. Thank you guys for joining the show. And thanks, everybody, for letting me cruise on a little bit late. Just had a little afternoon engagement. And yeah, dressed a little spiffy for it. You know, any excuse to put on the suit, look a little fly, you know, is always a good chance. But pressure sores, really awesome. Great topic that is super important for every quad and para and, you know, person dealing with SCI that I know. you know, generally deals with some kind of skin issue at some point or another. I know I have had a couple, just minor ones, thankfully. Um, I my body thankfully talks to me a lot, in that like I'm sensitive to different stuff. You know, I get real spazzy, like I get certain spasms like that aren't normal, and like I know like hey something might not be right. I've had the same thing that Brianna just talked about, like you know something like on my lap that's like maybe I tuck under my leg or something. Then I shift my weight. Next thing you know, I'm sitting on it, and I don't realize it. You know that can be really dangerous. I've been out camping. I remember one time I slept on a Game Boy cartridge because I was doing a little late night gaming on my console, and I somehow like one of the cartridges slipped out of my bag, and I slept on it, and thankfully it wasn't too bad. My mom is a nurse, so you know that's a huge blessing in that she's extremely skilled and uh, vigilant with skincare. Anytime I've had any minor thing, the worst pressure sore I ever had was on the bottom of my foot. The heel of my shoe was folded down underneath my foot and like putting pressure up on the heel, and I just didn't realize. And we were in the car all day on a long drive visiting my grandparents. It was like 10 hours in the car, and I was feeling funny, but I attributed it to the car ride. I thought maybe like I was sitting funny, or like we're changing altitudes a lot, which can make me feel odd sometimes. And so I was just attributing it to that. And then next thing I know, like my shoe flopped off, and I was like, oh, that's kind of odd. And my mom took my sock off and saw that I had like a pretty gnarly blister on the bottom of my foot from the pressure sore. And that one, you know, pretty easy to treat. It just really came down to like keeping my shoe off for a couple weeks. I was on summer vacation at the time, so it wasn't really even that big a deal. Uh,
Nice.
did it? I just like rocked no shoes and made sure to put like a pillow or something down on my feet. Um, you know, these are kind of more, I guess, like maybe not talked about prevention for pressure sores, which I always like to tell people is, circulation is healing. Like blood flowing and circulating around the area, and promoting like good healing. Good circulation also helps prevent pressure sores from forming. Just moving your body, making sure you're getting up every day. Even just an hour of physical activity, going out, cruising around, making sure to move your body, get some sunshine. Just promoting circulation in your body is like one of the best ways to just help your skin be strong and prevent stuff like that from forming in the first place. Um, Keeping the area dry. I had like another little issue. I guess it was another pressure sore. It's like on the knuckle of my toe, and it was from like some bad pair of shoes, just too tight, rubbing on a bony prominence, and it was a hard one to heal. Like it wouldn't want to heal. It took a long time, which again is the big danger. But what ended up healing it was this may not be available to everybody, but I took a trip to Arizona, and it was during the summer, and it was just super hot, dry climate, and I couldn't get that sucker to dry out and like form like a good healing basis. And going to the desert, like going to like a really dry climate, like a really dry hot climate, like made that thing dry up and start to heal really quick. And I was like joking to my mom, I'm like, this has got to be like a prescription for pressure sores. It's like a little, week in the desert to like go and dry yourself out, promote some healing. Um, but that really is the name of the game. Keeping the area dry, and then not having any friction. Um,
Mhm.
what I've used in the past when I've had like small issues, like on my bottom, which is the worst area because that's the hardest one to keep pressure relieved. And then when I transfer to like not have friction, like that tugging back and forth, especially with any kind of clothing or fabric underneath me. So just getting a skin barrier, there's just like you can find creams, even at like CVS or Rite Aid. Skin barrier creams can be really great. Calazine lotion or Calazine cream is what I use most recently for a small skin issue I had on my bottom. that I was worried about. It took about 2 weeks to heal, but applying the Calizine every day, putting that skin barrier on that just keeps like my clothes and some friction from opening and tugging at the wound, um, worked really worked great. I was able to keep it from opening any further and getting any worse, and that's really the name of the game: catching it early as soon as you can, and trying to do your best to keep it dry and prevent friction. Always
Not
easier.
too dry though. That's something that I've also struggled with. Like also my skin drying out and me not realizing how dry my skin is. Like so it's like a battle of trying to like find it and like not making sure it's too moisturized, where I'm like gripping that way. But also in the
That's
same way, like making sure that, my skin is healthy in a sense, and not too dried out or flaky. You don't want it flaky. So yeah, I think finding a good cream that is not just like a regular like fragrance cream either. Like there's I can't think of the
yeah,
right word to describe them, but like
yeah.
not
There's some
fragrance
good
cream.
healing creams, like the one that Angela found and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of good ones out there. You just have to, I guess,
Oh
It was
yeah,
try.
this thing is amazing. It has the manuka honey in it. It has the zinc in it. It has other vitamins in it, but it also has
Oops.
Chinese herbs. And it was pretty interesting because I'm pretty picky about what I put on my skin or in my body. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what are these Chinese herbs? Because they didn't exactly, it didn't state it on Amazon, but I was willing to just give it a go. I mean, obviously, if they're selling it on Amazon, it must not be that bad. And they were basically saying that it was excellent. I was reading the reviews and everything. So when I did purchase it and I did use it, oh my gosh, like I said to you, you could see within 2 days, like I was using the Manuka honey and I was using one of the best Manuka honey that you could possibly get where you had to like cut it and like place it on the wound and everything. And so, I mean, that's how expensive it was. But I had
Wow.
noticed I was still laying there. This was the second one that wanted to open up last year. And I was still laying there for about 5.5 days where I was like, okay, this is not healing fast enough. And then that's when I had found this. And when my nurse put it on, like I had told you, when she took the photo, within the second day, you could see it was already closing up and you could see it before your eyes, like, wow. So it obviously healed faster than the expensive Manuka honey that I had
Yeah, that's
because
amazing.
there
Nice.
is
That's a
honey
great.
in it too. I mean, it has the Manuka honey in it too. It has, I mean, you can see it in the ingredients. It has the honey, it has the zinc, and it has the Chinese herbs and other ingredients, but it's all natural. There's nothing unnatural about it. And just like what you were saying, Brianna, even when I had the wound 2 years ago, because in my front yard I have an aloe plant. I was doing
Oh,
everything. I was doing the aloe, I was doing the honey, so, it just all depends on an individual's skin. So
Mhm.
and another thing that you guys were saying about the pressure, I didn't know. I now, like, obviously you become educated when you have to deal with it. But, my neighbors, they had heard, and my girlfriend had came over and she had ordered like one of those donuts. She was thinking if I sat on a
yeah.
donut, that I wouldn't be sitting on the wound. But then I later found out from the wound specialist, he said, no, do not sit on that donut. Do not put that donut under you, even when you're laying in the bed. Because what happens is, depending on how heavy you are, when you're laying on that donut, that circular area, you're cutting circulation off around that
Yeah.
circular area. So no oxygen can get to, no circulation can get to the wound to heal it. So, you learn everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A
Things
little
that
of
don't
everything
work
as
for
you go
able-bodied
along.
people don't always work for us. It's trial and error. That's another thing too. And like that's why it's so important to have so many different stories and people on here to like share with you guys as well. Because I think like it's so interesting to see, like how different all our skins can be. I think like overall, of course, staying off of it and stuff. That's all the same, but how it heals, I've heard tons of different stories. I think it's best to go the all natural route. But it ends up to be like your skin. Some people's skin takes a while to heal. Some people's skin are more sensitive, they get infected more easily, so they have to be very careful of the
Yeah.
ingredients of stuff. I use one thing that like really helps me. Well, let me bring up the screenshot of it so I can show you guys just really quick. what is it called? It's called Alavesta, which I think just has like aloe in it. I'm not sure of the ingredients, but anyways, it works wonders for me. I just get it on Amazon as well. It's protective ointment and it's three, and yeah, it has all that on it. But for my friend, she can't use it. It makes her skin worse. It makes her infection worse, you know? And so like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I just say it's trial and error as well at the end of the day. And how deep it is, you know, getting it checked out is always important, because another important thing that Angela mentioned is that it could be deeper than what you're seeing. It could be worse underneath,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's like better to get taken care of. I know Mickey has talked about also having a skin graft, and I don't really know too much information about that, but do you know more, Shawn, or no?
So I personally don't know a lot about the surgeries. That's why I was hoping to have Chris on earlier, because I know he's actually had to do a couple over the last year or so. So
Oh,
I haven't had to do a flap or any type of surgery. Angela, did you have to do anything like that, or no? Did you?
no, when I was at Rancho, I befriended a couple of friends that were on the pressure sore floor, and there was one friend who he was. What did he say? He was like, um, he was in there like every year, but he had a special name for it. I can't remember right now. But every time I saw him, he was on a gurney on his stomach. But he explained to me about, oh God, it was so bad, and I'm thinking about it. I mean, he said he could put his whole fist into the hole. Like
Oh
that's how
my
big
gosh.
it got. Like because he said when he first got, it was a gunshot wound, and the hospital that he was at, they neglected to turn him, so he basically got two holes in his rear, and he said it got so big that yeah, he basically put his foot or his fist, but basically he spoke about the flap surgery that there's the hole, so right around the area you just have to basically cut like a moon, and you take it and you flap it and you just pack it and you basically fill it. But he was in there constantly every single year that they had to start taking from his calf and other parts of his legs, just start filling the hole up because he just kept. One thing was he was a smoker, and I'm like, you can't smoke that, like
I'm sure.
that just retards the whole the circulation and the impair. You know, just you don't get great circulation when you're smoking. So he was constantly smoking. He didn't have the best uh, hair in the sense, and then he sweat a lot. So you know you got to stay dry, and he wasn't doing his pressure wounds, so that's why he was constantly in Rancho healing this this big, like you know, like we were saying, once you get one or you get it in that area, you just have to be careful because it'll just keep coming back.
Yeah, I try to talk to newly injured people about it because it's kind of like they don't know. It's one of those things that you kind of get more scared the more you have to go through it yourself, you know, and like see it in person. And I feel like
Yeah.
almost they would get annoyed at the Triumph support groups, like when we would like constantly bring it up, because they're just like, yuck, you know, we don't really want to hear these graphic stories. But it's so important to remember and to take care of your skin as early as you can. You know, a lot of us
Yeah.
don't have that opportunity to take care of it as good or have these tips and tricks in the beginning, and we done stuff that has made it worse, you know. So I really say that it's so important to take care of your skin. You know, it's important for able-bodied people to do it too, you know. I just don't think we're taught right about it, and it's so important for us.
Yeah, and I would also say for anybody that is maybe dealing with wounds like for the first time or new to this, or hasn't had one yet, but comes across like the signs of one. It's really never too soon or too early or too superficial to call your doctor if you have any concern at all. Get a wound care specialist or a nurse out there that has some kind of experience with it to give you an assessment and to catch it before it gets worse. The thing that like even like shocks me to this day is how quickly they can get out of hand, how quickly they can form, how quickly they can go from being very mild and superficial to a serious situation. And
Yeah.
you don't want to be playing catch up, in this kind of situation where you're having to deal with really longer term issues, trying to, heal a wound that doesn't ever want to heal, try to heal it as soon as possible earlier on while it's more manageable. That's really the name of the game with pressure sores is, prevention and then catching it and healing it as quickly as possible. And that even means if it means going down in bed for 2 weeks and couple weeks or whatever. It's hard. It's tough. And, I mean,
9
I've
months.
been there, but it is anything is better than being bedbound for 6 months or a year
Or a
because
year or two, yeah.
and you have to get flap surgery and you have to deal with like stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
just
Definitely. We have a lot of comments going on. Shawn, you want to read a couple?
Well, I was going to address Mickey real quick. Asked
Oh,
if Angela could show her cream again. I actually just looked
Oh,
it up, and if it is, so it's LMNOOP, and if you look it up on Amazon, it does come up. It comes up as healing cream, but that's I put it on the
it's
screen.
amazing. I'm telling you. My best friend Andy and I, we were searching all over the internet, and this thing came up. And it's seriously a lifesaver. I'm not kidding. I'm not just, and I'm not getting paid for this cream or anything. And I tell all my friends who have pressure wound issues, but it's definitely, I don't know, it's hard to see because I'm not on a computer, but
that's
am
not
I
bad.
showing the, oh
yeah.
yeah, it's like,
Well,
oh, here
Shawn
we
could
go.
also,
Okay, sorry, my bad.
Shawn could also post the link in the description after the video too.
Oh, yeah, true.
He was able to find it. So if anybody just wants to hang on, you should be able to come
Okay.
back.
There it is.
LMNOP. Okay, so it's like the alphabet. LMNOP.
Yeah, LMNOP with two
Okay.
O's. No.
Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
sorry.
LMNOP.
No, I'll give
LMNOP.
it to you guys. I'll give you guys the name and then you could just put it. I can't hold this thing. Sorry, guys. This
Yeah,
jar
yeah,
is
we
so
got it. We
little.
got it.
No, that's
And the
cool.
funny thing is, I just ordered another one today, in fact, on Amazon. This little jar right here is $20.
Oh, wow. But
So
how
I
long
just
does it
ordered
last you?
another. This little bad boy. I don't have a wound, but anytime it just gets a little red or whatever, my nurse just puts it on, my caregiver. But all you need is a little bit. You don't need a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for the
This-
one I
this
showed as
thing,
well.
I would say this will last about, depending if you're using it every day. I mean, I've had it. I bought it like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
A few ounces
It
goes
works.
a long way. Yeah, that's nice to know.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because the prices always get us, right? You know, it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I would love to have it, and I kind of felt that way about the CVS Manuka honey ones because they're pretty expensive. You kind of get a little amount for them, but it's like if it's needed, it's needed. You know, we need to like find these things. So it's only when it gets really bad do I get those.
And I think it's probably worth a few bucks for that preventative. If you can stop it right off the bat and get healed, it's gonna be a lot better than doing the long-term healing of a wound.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And flap surgery is not cheap. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
Even wound care visits and stuff, like depending on your insurance, can be pretty tough. But just to go back to the Manuka honey for a second, that stuff is some of the greatest stuff. It's like relatively, I don't know, it's not new, but it's like gotten really popular in the skincare and like wound care game in the last like decade or so. And the way that it was described to me, it's like almost provides like a scaffolding for your tissue and your skin to start to rebuild. Like it's got just good properties to prevent bacteria and stuff from forming and preventing infection and stuff, but also provides like a really solid biological base for your tissue to start to rebuild in the way that it needs to. So it sounds like you guys touched on that quite a bit, but I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
talk to a lot of doctors about Manuka honey. I know a ton of quads and pairs who use it, and it's like a really awesome, cool thing, especially even for little wounds. Just to get yourself healing quick and get back into action. And it's nice
Yeah,
that
I'm
it's
excited to try Angela's because it's mixed and it seems like that's what we need. We need something strong mixture to heal our skin more because our skin doesn't heal properly. So if able-bodied people are out here using Manuka honey, we need something a little bit more stronger too. So that might do the trick. And it's interesting to find new things all the time. So yeah, I'm excited. And if anybody else uses it out there, message us and let us know how it works for you. And
The,
we can promote it more.
the
Also,
other thing.
No, I was just gonna mention Nikki's other thing. Go ahead. If you're on the Manuka honey, go for it.
It wasn't the Manuka honey, but it was just when it comes to like bandages covering your wound. There's
So
also like pretty new, cool stuff in that regard too. Instead of just putting like a cotton bandage on your wound, I used when I had my wound on my foot and on my booty cheek. It's this stuff that's called hydrocolloid, and it is almost like a band-aid, but it's clear, and it's made out of this like meshy, breathable material. It is it's really unique. And again, I'll find it and like send it to Shawn, have him put it in the description. If you talk to a skincare specialist or any kind of nurse who has experience in this, I'm sure they'll have it. It's usually something they have in hospitals. I got some from my wound care nurse, who works in a hospital. So I don't know if you can get this. Like, I think you can order it on Amazon probably. But what it's called is hydrocolloid, and it's a very breathable, um, cool band aid essentially. Awesome for wound care. It just allows the wound to gain access to some oxygen and to help promote a little bit better circulation during the healing process, but is also like a fully sealed barrier, to prevent friction, bacteria, and other stuff getting in. So I don't know. I think it's really cool.
That's super cool.
Maybe,
Yeah, that sounds
maybe pay attention to the kind of bandages and stuff you're using as well when it's not just airing out healing. Because
hmm
sometimes you gotta you got to go out. Sometimes you still got to function, even if you're dealing with small wounds. Um, and
I also that's a great tip that you just said in there. Like, be aware of what you're using, because I've also heard people like where they're in nursing homes or even in the hospital and they've always haven't used the best stuff on them, or they're having just caregivers come and they're using like the stuff from their company or whatever the case may be. I would always double check it, and just even ask some friends in the community what they think about the different products. Not to say that anybody's using anything wrong, but I just have heard a lot of stories where they might not be using the best stuff or the stuff that we would prefer. So I know it's not cheap to keep up with these things, but I promise, like Shawn said, you're gonna want to dish out those couple more dollars in order not to stay bedridden for those months. Like, you have to think
yeah,
about it in the long run, because it's
Oh
it's a
yeah.
long game. This is a long game.
yeah, I didn't have all the time I wish to prepare. Otherwise, I would have grabbed some of the stuff to try to show off. Like I said, if you do want more specific information from me sooner, you can always reach out to me personally. I'll even talk to my wound care guy. Shoot him a text or give him a call on your behalf if you need me to. But also, Shawn and I are going to be planning another episode here in hopefully the next month or two. And our plan is to
yeah,
get either my nurse, Erin, who's also a wound care specialist, on to talk about some of this stuff in more detail. But we're trying to get someone, from that realm, who's really, really on in regards to what is the best stuff you can use, where can you get it. So sorry for not having the information on hand right now. But like I
hmm
said, always feel free to
Yeah.
reach out to me personally, and I'll get you what you need to know as far
These
as
are just the trauma stories for you guys, so you guys are more motivated to join our next live. And you can
yeah.
hear more
No,
information.
and
Did you guys talk about seating at all, like seat cushions and stuff like that?
not really. No. So if we can get into that a
We
little
yeah,
bit
we just talked
before.
about like surfaces, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
we got
that
Could
about
part.
I?
10. Go ahead, Angela.
Could,
Go ahead.
hello? No, I would like to add, before we move on to the next subject, I want to add to what Brianna was talking about, because it actually had happened when I was healing my wound. How you were saying that, different people can bring things in and, they want to help and they mean well. I actually, when I was healing my wound and when it was opening up and getting worse, of course, my LVN, this is a licensed nurse, who has worked with patients with wounds. He's like, you need to put such and such on it. And he actually went to another patient and he brought the stuff that the patient was using to my house and he ended up putting it on my wound. And of course he was meaning well to help me heal it faster. But then when the wound specialist came in later, a couple days later, and we brought up the name of the specific item, the wound specialist said, no, do not put that on your wound because it's actually going to make it worse. So sometimes you need to speak to a wound specialist because sometimes
Yeah.
when they look at your wound, they will know what's good for it, what's not good for it. And this wound specialist, I mean, he knew, he kept looking at my wound like, something's not right here. It's not healing properly. And he said, I'm going to run some blood tests on you. And sure enough, that's when the test came back and it had stated that I was anemic. So I wasn't healing fast enough. And so, of course, I had to get on certain vitamins and bring in, obviously I was pescatarian at the time. So I had to start eating steak again to get my iron levels up. And then once I started eating steak, like there was no tomorrow, I'm not saying to eat steak to help your wounds, but, I was eating broccoli and a lot of things with iron in it and taking my zinc. And then you could see that the wound was now healing faster than it was prior. So again, you can get advice from certain people who seem to have experience, but at the same time, if you speak to an expert like a wound specialist who has done it and who is trained, because he was explaining to me, he goes, I get trained specifically for this. I know your nurse means well, and he's a nurse, but I know exactly what I'm doing here. And of course, I didn't argue with him, and sure enough, he helped me heal it fast. So
I'm really glad you said that, Angela,
That's
because
good.
that's probably some of the most important information to give is trust your wound care specialist, trust your wound care nurse. And not that, regular LVNs or even RNs are, bad or, like, I'm sure they're well
no, not
intentioned.
at all.
Sometimes, the specialty and their knowledge is just different. And, wounds like the ones we develop are, non-typical kind of care for some nurses or for a lot of nurses. So finding, and, even if you see them once or just speak to them on the phone, having someone you can ask questions to, disseminate information, ask if this is okay, if that's not okay, while you're, dealing with it on your own can be a game changer. So really great information.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I know we're always trying to find like a quick fix to things, and like kind of go like the easy route. But sometimes you do just need to get it checked out because, like we're saying, it goes back to also what you're seeing is with your eyes might not always be what is like there fully.
Yeah.
So it just goes back to that as well. So yeah, a wound specialist is definitely different than your regular doctor. So make sure that you have somebody that is specialized with this. Check it out, and just that extra precaution might as well,
And
we need to take
they'll
more
be
care
able to
of
give you
our
really more specific care. Like Angela, like that patch might have worked for somebody else's wound, but not
yeah.
yours. It's like everybody's different,
Exactly.
and somebody that really specializes can tell, your wound's different. You have this something, so that's why it is important. So yeah, we're stressing
I'm
that a lot.
still learning about skincare. Like I feel like we're just taught to put anything on our skin, and now I'm learning so much more about like you're supposed to wash with certain things, and do a special routine and everything like that, and have special cream, and not everything that's on the shelves is good for you, and that just goes to show you like it's just in general that we need to take care of our bodies. I don't think it's just like really put in our heads like that, like how important it is to really take care of our skin. I remember my grandma being like older and being like, put lotion on, like you don't want wrinkles. And I was just like, yeah. It's kind of one of those things. I feel like we're kind of that way for, newly injured right now. But I promise there's a reason for all this. Skincare is important, even down to the wash. That's something that I had to change out recently as well. I started having to use really natural Dove wash underneath as well. Because the wash that I was using before was like scented and it just wasn't doing it right for me. It wasn't keeping me.
Moisturize
Yeah,
that
that was
skin.
another thing.
Make sure the lotion.
Oh, sorry.
I actually, sorry. I was just gonna mention real quick too on the lotion and the moisturizing the skin and stuff. I think was it Celtic Bear earlier mentioned? Oh yeah, living in Arizona. Used to live in Arizona. I got dry crack skin. So that's one thing. It's good to find that balance because one thing for me as like a quad, I don't sweat. So joints and stuff get really dry. My skin gets super dry if I don't lotion. So I constantly do like that's taking care of my skin too because if the skin gets too dry, it can crack and break open as well. So keeping that moisture in there for me keeps my skin healthy, but you don't want that moisture like under your butt or in places that are going to stay damp, moist all day long type of thing. So I just wanted to quick throw that out there real quick because
always make sure to dry between your toes. That's usually where I'll get like.
That's another spot.
Like a little crack. Yeah. To answer your guys' question, Peter and Hipgrip, but no, I'm not running for office.
Tom for president.
I don't know if I got that in me. Although if
Tom
I
for
did,
president.
if I did win like the presidency, I'll tell you what, us quads and pairs, we'd be living the life, that's for sure, because I'd set up some policy to make our lives chilling. But no, just I had some business in LA today, and you know, it was at like a fancy place, so it dictated, you know, dressing up, and I was just gonna wear slacks and a button up, but you know, I was like, nah, I'm gonna just go for the full suit today. It just felt like being
That's
flashy and fresh. It's fun to put it on. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't know how fancy it was going to be over there. I was like, dang, it was super fancy. Even inside the
yeah.
bathrooms, for the rags, they just had towels that you could just
I
wipe your
know
hands
there
and
wasn't
throw
even like
away. I
paper.
was like, dang, that's super.
There's like a
Yeah,
little
that's
bathroom back there. I'm like, what's going on? Like, thought I was rolling into like some eyes wide shut type of scenario. I'm like, you know, there's some wild stuff that's gone down in this building.
Oh, that's
uh,
so funny. But that was
but
cool.
yeah,
That was yeah.
so that's actually like a survey me and Brianna did last week, and then Tom and Bobby did this week for Enable LA, which is like an Uber type company here in LA, trying to set up rideshare services for people with disabilities. So yeah, and Tom, I actually forgot to read that, or I didn't go all the way through that email. I just looked at the top and was like, okay, cool, I'll be there at that time. And I showed up in a hoodie and a hat, not dressed for business casual. But anyways,
It's all good.
uh,
Um,
but yeah, let's get
A
back.
little tangent
So
for you guys.
yeah,
I
I
gotta
know, a little side.
just want to give a big shout out to our guest, one of our guests today, Angela. Push girl, going back, way back in the day. I don't know, I feel like I'm just gotta have my celebrity moment right here. I was moving out. I was like 16, 17 years old, and I found your guys' show. And I was like just finishing high school, getting ready to move out. I've been a quad since I was a kid. But seeing you living on, you know, living with the girls, living on your own, like living that independent lifestyle, Angela, was like a big inspiration in like those couple of years, like motivate me to get my stuff together, get out on my own, move to Southern California, and you know, start living my best independent life. So it's just like so freaking cool. I never thought in a million years I'd get to actually like talk to you and say thanks for being such an awesome example way back in the day. You know, when you had never, you know, knew I existed, but it's really so amazing to have you on here and to, you know, get to talk to you, you know, get to have you share all of your awesome knowledge and information. But you know, just to get a chance to say thank you too for helping me out a decade ago when you didn't realize you probably were.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know you probably get that all the
I don't
time.
even know what words to say to that.
I think that's so cool that you've made such
You
an
know,
impact in this community and like you've just shown so many people. I mean, I feel like it's so cool, like we have the same impact. You know, we saw you living and striving and just, you know, being a person, and that pushed so many other people to do the same thing. And I think it's so amazing. And I'm so surprised there hasn't been something else like it, you know, because it was game changer in our community. Like I hear so many people from it to be like, you know, all the way from Tom being a teenager to, you know, like me being newly injured, you know, just this like a ripple effect of so many people being like, all I needed to see was people fighting and, you know, going through life as a disabled person, you know. And I think like that's so special and something like a mark you'll leave on this world forever, you know. Generations to come are going to be seeing that.
Well, the other thing that I thought was really special is I just hadn't seen too many examples of quadriplegics, you know, portrayed in media, you know, in any way, shape, or form. You know, and like nothing against the other ladies who are, you know, super awesome in their own way. But specifically for me, you know, as a quad, seeing another quad, you know, going through a lot of the similar struggles. You know, I remember like some of the episodes you're like spazzing during one of your model shoots and stuff, and like just having to deal with the spasticity and things like that. Like I just remember like really relating to that stuff and just like the way you talked about it, like having that connection, not even knowing you, but knowing that, you know, with the right setup, with the right coordination, with the right motivation, you know, I could set myself up in a similar position where I could be living in Hollywood, like, you know, living my best life. Like, you know, living on
and I'm not even in LA right now. I'm on the East Coast now.
Well, so that's even cool. I want to live in New York, you know.
But I'm over here so I can start something again. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, thank you guys. It means a lot. There are no words. As Brianna knows, as she knows some of my story, you know, this can happen to anyone. And I had a premonition when I was, it's going to sound crazy, but I had a premonition when I was 17 that I was going to be in a horrific car accident. I didn't know I was going to be paralyzed. So when I got paralyzed 1 week before 9/11 and I woke up in that hospital, when I opened up my eyes and looked up at that ceiling, it was like deja vu. And I knew, you know, there was a sense of like calmness that was within my body. And I wasn't sad or mad or anything. Of course, I couldn't feel my body. And here I was, like I was an athlete. I raced motorcycles, like I did all this stuff. And then like I was in this like body that couldn't move. But there was like this voice speaking to me, telling me that everything was going to be okay. And I knew at that moment that this was it. This was the big bang that I had been waiting for. And I didn't know exactly what was going to entail on this journey, but I had an idea and I had this vision. And I sat my father by my bedside and he wrote word for word my vision. And I could tell you I'm living it till this day. So when I ended up meeting Audrey, she was one of the first individuals that I met in the hospital at Rancho. And I went on this journey for a good like year and a half. I had noticed, you know, just this realm that this can happen to anyone. And it wasn't just being a quadriplegic, but anybody that was going through any catastrophic situation, whether losing breast to breast cancer or dealing with AIDS or losing a loved one, like people will just lose a sense of themselves. And once you lose that, that's it. So basically, bottom line, I had told Audrey, like, we need to create a team. We need to create a team of women warriors. And so that's when we met Mia, and then that's when we met Tiffany. And then I didn't know, I just had it in my body. I knew something was going to happen. I was going to do something. And, you know, I'm a manifester in that sense. And then so when the time was right and I felt it was right, I called the girls up and I was like, look, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this show with me? And then, you know, a lot of people don't know, but so we went out there, you know, I created and I was part of the producer, and it wasn't easy at all because every single network did not want our show. They didn't want to deal with people with disabilities. And the only thing at that time with individuals with disabilities was RJ Mitty on Breaking Bad and Jamie Brewer on American Horror Story. And there was no other reality show out there that had a full cast of individuals with disabilities. So when Sundance finally picked it up and we were out there, I didn't understand at that point what it did for the folks out there until after the show was done, until years later when folks like you are sharing the experience. And then that's when it means everything to me. So thank you so much for that, because we had to deal with a lot. It wasn't easy. It was not easy doing that show. And, you know, one of these days, hopefully, whether I write a book about it or whatever, like, it was a lot. A reality show is not easy. I mean, if you want to throw garbage on the table and make money, yeah, you could do it. But if you want to stay true to your heart and put inspiration, positivity out there, you know, you got to constantly fight for it. So I really appreciate what you shared, Tom. It really means a lot to me.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for letting me fanboy out for a minute. I just had to. I was like, I can't believe we have Angela Rockwood on here. This is so crazy.
But you know, it's just like what you guys are doing, what we're all doing. It's just that this can happen to anyone, you know? And instead of going down that negative path, we go down the positive path and we just live to our fullest. So I'm not going to stop being who I am just because I'm paralyzed from the neck down. So neither should anybody out there. You know, there should be no excuses for going out there and doing your dreams. You know, just because you're in a different vessel now doesn't mean you can't accomplish anything, you know?
And you said it, Angela, you know, you manifest it, you know, you put those words on paper, you bring them into the world somehow and you make it happen, you know, and we all have that power to do
fight for it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. And Shawn, was there anything else we wanted to touch on? I just want to say thanks to everybody in the chat, everyone watching. I think Josh said it earlier in the chat. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the show and you're liking what we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps the show out. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't. That way you can get notified of our videos. every week. We'll be here every Tuesday at 3:30, and I've got lady shows every other Tuesday, every other Thursday.
Thursday.
My bad. Um, but
Yes, at 3
Brianna,
p.m. And then also, I just want to throw in our sponsors, our urology professionals and mobility professionals. We love shouting them out and just telling you guys to go and message them and get your supplies from them, because they know how hard this is. They know the struggle of being in a wheelchair. And another thing that they do that I think is so cool is that they'll call whatever company that you're with now, and they'll deal with all that extra stuff that we hate dealing with, and they'll switch over your company to them. And so I think that that's really amazing too. So make sure that you guys go check them out. They're the sweetest people. They get back to you so quickly too.
definitely, and in regards to mobility professionals, one of the most common ways we can get pressure sores is poor seating in our wheelchairs. It's probably the most important parts because it's where we spend a lot of our time. So you want to make sure you have a good company that is knowledgeable in regards to all that and can help you out. If you're in the Southern California area, mobility professionals, they are one of those companies with very knowledgeable, kind-hearted, and beautiful, awesome people that will set you up in the right kind of equipment to keep you healthy and functional and independent. So definitely give them a shout and let them know Live to Roll sent you. If you
Yes, and also I'm not going to have a Thursday show coming up again because of the Abilities Expo. So make sure that if you're in the Los Angeles area, you stop by. We're going to have a photo booth going on. We're going to have some fun, things popping at our booth. We are number 328, right, Shawn? That's right.
Yep, booth 328.
Yeah, 328. Yes, we got it right this time, guys. So 328, make sure to roll on by, take a picture with us, say hi, say what's up. We're going to hopefully be able to hop on live and do a couple of special things that weekend. So keep an eye out for us on our social media.
We're gonna have stickers. We're gonna have a bunch of merch available if you guys want to come. Get some T-shirts and stuff.
Speaking of, these are the
want to look good in that fresh new fit. We'll have it ready for you.
And
Nice
these
and
are actually new
cozy.
shirts I just picked up yesterday. So these are fresh off. We got new ones. On the back is Rolling with the Homies. You'll have to see it next time or come to the show to check them out.
Yeah, they're cool. They're cool.
Love it. Love it so
all
much.
right,
That's great.
so let's just thank Angela one more time. We really appreciate you coming on, Angela, taking your time to join us
Thank
and
you guys.
share all your experience.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yes, it
And,
was a
you've
pleasure
been
having
amazing.
you. Thank
Shawn
you
and
so
Brianna,
much.
Thank you guys all.
are awesome too. Thanks for making the magic
Everybody in the
happen.
chat,
So-
thank you guys. We appreciate you all.
Great.
We'll see you next week. See you,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Live to roll.
Bye.